Right in front of me, I have every single credit card that I've ever opened. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I started with the Apple Card and worked my way all the way up to the Amexes, how much the points are worth across all of these credit cards over the years that I've had them, and tell you along the way which ones I liked, which ones I didn't like, and just give you a good idea of where I come from in my credit journey. Now, aside from business credit cards and other lines of credit I've had before, these are actual credit cards that I've had. So with that all being said, let's get started. So I actually first started my credit journey in September of 2020 when I got the Freedom Unlimited from Chase and the Apple Card from, well, Apple. Now, to be honest, back in 2020, I didn't know anything about credit cards short of I needed to start building my credit, and I always eyed the Chase Freedom Unlimited because of its base 1.5% back, not to mention they gave me $200 for opening this. And the Apple Card, I mean, I'm an Apple fanboy if you know me, so I've always wanted an Apple Card. It was kind of one of those things, and I used this a lot in the beginning actually because the Apple Pay getting 2% back was really nice, but I also used it a lot for Apple products whenever I wanted to buy them or if I wanted to finance them. So that's where I started with these. I opened both of these at the same day, at the same time, and it's still really crazy to think that this is where I got started with credit. But then about a year and a half later, I ended up getting this Best Buy Citi card, and honestly, this is one that I really regret, and here's why. It's not that this card is actually bad per se, but store credit cards usually give you lower limits, higher interest rates, and honestly, the points or whatever perks you get out of these cards are usually not worth it. Usually it's points tied to the store where you can get a store gift card, whereas with cards like this Chase Freedom Unlimited, they're points that you can get for cash back or pay for your bill, or even get gift cards from other stores if you want. But yeah, I never take this out of my wallet. It only earns Best Buy points, so it's not really a points currency that I'm trying to get the most out of, so this card basically is just a prop for me at this point. So I was about ready to start a new job and I was preparing to move, so I spotted an opportunity to get as many points as I can because I have a lot of things I needed to buy like furniture and housewares and other things to furnish an apartment. So I opened the the classic Discover. I was a little late to the party here. I opened that and I opened my first Amex card at this point, which was the Amex Platinum. Now this card offered me 125,000 points after spending $6,000 in 6 months. And with all the expenses I had coming, that was a pretty easy target to get. And actually a fun fact about this is I actually went to the Amex website looking to get the gold card, but just like anybody else that's, 23 years old and a little naive about credit cards, I just saw that this was offering more points at the time than the gold card. So I said, why not? Let's go ahead and get this one. But yeah, I actually ended up closing this card a couple years later, but it's not that I closed the Platinum completely. I actually got a different one, and I'll tell you about that one as we work our way down the timeline. But for now, this only lasted a couple years, and rest in peace, my original Platinum. So then once I'd finally moved and got into my new apartment, I was ready to get more bonuses, and I still had more things to buy. So I got the American Express Gold card because I was being offered 75,000 points after spending $4,000 in 3 months. And so aside from just the bonus that obviously this offered, this thing is a great spender because you get 4 times the points on basically anything you eat, 3 times the points on flights, and it's just a good spender for everyday purchases because you tend to spend a lot on food, or at least I do. So after I opened this, again, I went on a spree. I had a couple of cards that I wanted anyway, so I got the Amazon Prime card in July of 2022 because it was Prime Day and they were offering a $200 gift card just for opening this. $200 to spend on Amazon that I was already going to spend anyway made total sense. So this became my Whole Foods and anything I bought on Amazon credit card because at that time I earned 5 times the points back on those purchases. And at the time when I started my job, I had to get a corporate card. So this is Amex Green corporate card. You don't earn points on this actually, which is really unfortunate. So if you want to earn points, you have to pay $55 to Amex to earn 1 point per dollar spent. So honestly, I very rarely use this. It was mainly for work expenses. Sometimes I even ended up just using one of my personal cards and then getting reimbursed. So this card, though it shows a little bit of wear and tear, I mostly used it just to get free parking at the office. I really didn't use this card that much. And I actually ended up having to close this card when I was laid off about a year and a half later. So I no longer have this corporate card anymore. Then in November of 2022, I had been going through a lot of tolls, I had been staying in a lot more hotels, and I had a weak spot in my wallet where I wasn't getting points for these things. At least I was only getting 1 point per dollar. So this Amex Green card at a $150 annual fee gave me 3 times the points on all the tolls I took, every hotel I stayed at, every Lyft and Uber I took. So this became a really good addition to my wallet. I already had a clear credit through my Platinum card, which by the way, this card also has that. So I ended up just giving that to my brother, and I would just use this to basically, like I said, pay for hotels and any expenses really related to travel because because it has a huge bucket of categories that you can choose from whenever you pay with this on those travel expenses. And if you know anything about tolls, they add up very quickly. Now shifting gears, in January of 2023, I got a letter in the mail from Amex asking me to open this credit card, the Delta American Express Platinum card. Now this card at the time carried a $250 annual fee. It's now $350, and I got 90,000 SkyMiles after spending $4,000, I think, or $3,000 in 3 months. It was something along those lines. But the reason why I opened this card was twofold. Reason number one was because at the time, you could spend $25,000 on this card in a year and then get bumped up a level in status, provided you met the other requirement of flying with Delta. This was before the now MQD only loyalty status thing. Basically, I used this card to get 2 levels up on the airline status ladder just by paying for my rent on this credit card. So in effect, I paid about $600 in transaction fees to get a status that normally would cost around $10,000 worth of flying to do. But the other reason why I got this card is because this card offers what's called a companion certificate. It's a buy one, get one free on one round trip ticket anywhere within the US and these destinations. I'll put it on screen here. So you buy one ticket at, let's say, $300, for example. The second person you take on that trip, all you have to do is pay the taxes and fees for that person. You do not have to pay the base fare. So if I paid $300 plus $50 in fees, my companion, I'd only have to pay $50 in fees for and not the other $300, and they can fly with me round trip. So yeah, that companion certificate really came in clutch when I wanted to take somebody with me on vacation, and coupled with my gold medallion status at the time, we got upgrades, free checked bags, and much more. So it just made the whole experience a lot better. But we did end up recently closing this. We'll get to that in just a little bit. So we're gonna put the X on that. And then moving on, in May of 2023, I ended up opening 2 cards at the same time. I opened this American Airlines Barclays red card, and I also opened this Citi custom cash card. Now, let me go back to this red card real quick. This card had the easiest bonus I've ever had to work for because I didn't have to spend thousands of dollars to get it. You see, because at the time, this card offered 60,000 American Airlines miles just for making one purchase. Yeah, one purchase. All I did, I went to a gas station and I bought a candy bar and I got my 60,000 miles. It was that easy. So this card was a no-brainer, but they ended up discontinuing this card, so I closed it before that happened, so I no longer actually have this. So this one shall get the X of closure. So I ended up getting the Citi custom cash because I needed more points on my gas, because at the time I was only getting 1% back. And this card, you can choose one of these categories on screen, and if you spend up to $500, you get 5 times the points back on your top spend category per month, and then it's 1% thereafter, or if you put something else on there, it's just 1%. So in my case, if I spend $200 on gas roughly per month and I get that 5% back, I ended up getting 1,000 points per month just for my gas purchases. So I actually recommend this card for a lot of people, for anything that you spend a lot of money on, around 500 or less, and just want to get a better multiplier on, because this card is honestly pretty underrated. It's one of my favorite cards from Citi for sure. Then moving on, it took a little over a year, but I ended up getting my next credit card, which was the Chase Sapphire Preferred, because at the time they were offering 75,000 points if you spent $4,000 in 3 months. And if you know anything about Chase cards, the offers come and go very quickly, so I wanted to jump on that 75K offer because normally it offers only 60K. There are 2 reasons why I keep this card every year and pay the $95 annual fee are twofold. One, you unlock transfer partners through Chase's website, and you can pool any other Chase points you have into this card and use them towards transfer partners. And number 2, the $50 hotel credit that I get through Chase's portal is very straightforward. Any hotel booking you make through the Chase travel portal and pay with this card once a year, you get $50 off. So I still love this card. It's a very good card for what it is. And between the multipliers and the perks that it does offer, like free DoorDash and the hotel credit, it's worth keeping every year. Then a couple months later, I was finally able to get one of my favorite Chase cards that they offer, the Chase Freedom Flex, because I was finally under 524. And for those of you that don't know, 524 is literally just if you've opened 5 credit cards or more in the last 2 years, 24 months, Chase will automatically reject your application for any new cards. So I got this one because just like the Discover, this has 5% rotating quarterly categories. And this card is still heavily in my rotation. I still use this a lot just to get those 5 times points back. I check the quarterly categories and I post them on He's Got a Point, which you should follow, by the way. And what I do is I just activate those quarterly categories, and then I end up just spending on this and raking up the Chase points very fast. So yeah, this card has served me well so far. And then I did something interesting in March of 2025 when I got this Chase Freedom Visa. Now, funny thing is, this Chase Freedom Visa and this Chase Freedom Flex are basically the same card, but the reason why I got this Freedom Visa is because it's a Visa. Now, both of these cards once a year have wholesale clubs, aka Costco and Sam's Club, as a category for 5% back. But as you know, Costco doesn't take MasterCard credit cards in the United States. They only take Visa. So what I ended up doing is I took my Freedom Unlimited that I opened up in 2020 and I turned it into this Chase Freedom Visa, and then I opened a new Freedom Unlimited in March of 2025 to get another sign-up bonus. Now in May of 2025, I actually ended up opening this Charles Schwab Platinum card and I closed my other Amex, and here's why. You see, the regular Amex Platinum doesn't let you transfer points into cash back, but this card does at a rate of 1.1 cents per point, meaning 10,000 points is worth $110. So all you have to do is transfer it into your Schwab brokerage or Schwab checking account, and then from there cash it out or invest it or do pretty much whatever you want. The points become cash. So yeah, this Amex is great if you want to get cash back from Amex, because normally you get a statement credit at less than half the value, and I mean it's the exact same as a regular Platinum, so you can't go wrong with it. And then finally, as we get to the end of all the credit cards that I've opened, in August 2025 I opened the Citi Strata Premier, and here's why. You see, the Citi Strata Premier is basically like the Sapphire Preferred, only in Citi flavor. It's a $95 annual fee card. The perks aren't great, but it does one thing that no other credit card does. That's because around this time, Citi released the Strata Elite card at $600 a year, but both the Strata Elite and the Strata Premier card let you transfer your Citi points to American Airlines. And if you know anything about the points and miles games, you know that American Airlines miles are some of the most coveted miles and still retain their value compared to Delta, United, and other carriers. So I got a 60,000 point bonus after spending 4,000 in 3 months on this card. I had went on a trip and I had a lot of expenses coming, so I just put them all on this card and hit that bonus very easily and got 60,000 points for doing so. After that, I got an email in November of 2025 for this Costco card, and it's a very interesting offer I got versus what you normally get. You see, because when you're in the warehouse normally, they're always offering some sort of like physical thing like a blanket or a tote bag, but I got an email that said spend $75 and get a $75 credit on your bill. So what I ended up doing is I got this card and I spent the $75 on this keyboard. And I've covered this video in the past, but this keyboard retails for $150 and I only ended up paying $22 for this after all the discounts and the credit I got from this Costco card. By the way, that $75 bonus was just use the card, and since it's a Visa, you can use it anywhere outside of Costco. So I just bought that keyboard from Best Buy. So yeah, the Costco card now I use at Costco and at the Costco gas station, and then I get that money in the check that I get every February with my executive membership. So at Costco now, I'm effectively getting 4% back in the warehouse and 5% back at the gas station. And finally, in March of 2026, I gutted the Delta Amex Platinum and I got this one instead. Now this is the Delta Amex Blue card. It has no annual fee, and the only reason I got it is because I didn't want to close out the credit line and the credit history I had with the Platinum, but I also didn't want to pay the now $350 fee. So this card doesn't really have much in the way of perks. You get some points for spending at Delta and other places, but you don't even get a free check bag with this, which I kind of was shocked about when I first got it. And then I looked across the landscape and I realized, oh, most airline credit cards don't even give you a free check bag at $0 a year. So yeah, I'm just keeping this card to keep the credit line and my credit history open, but honestly, I never use this card. It pretty much sits in my drawer. But yeah, those are all the credit cards I've opened since I started with credit cards. In total, I opened 18 credit cards, of which I ended up closing 5 of them as I went on. The total number of points roughly that I accumulated from all these credit cards was over 600,000, which would be at a bare minimum worth 6,000 US dollars. But if you use them towards travel or find better uses for points, it can be worth even more. And my favorite credit card out of all 18 that I've ever owned is definitely the Chase Freedom Unlimited, because it has no fee, it gives you 3 times the points on dining and 1.5% back on everything versus just 1% on most of these other cards on this table. Now, as far as my future with credit cards goes, I'm pretty happy with the ones I have, but there are a couple of variables that could get me to open a new one, like if there's one that comes out that's really compelling, or if I'm going through another major life event where I can spend the money to hit a bonus, or if I need to downgrade one of my more expensive cards into a no annual fee like I have with the Delta card and other credit cards on this table. But yeah, let me know in the comments which one of these credit cards is your favorite and ones that you use in your daily rotation. And just remember, you don't have to open 18 plus credit cards like I have over the course of these years. You only need 2 or 3 really good ones to get the most points back from all the money you spend. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.